And so that's why that is why you should take this idea on board. It's not gonna win it. Oh, what's this? Just as well I brought my computer to this random rooftop.
Hi DQ, I'm DQ, and welcome to DQ's AV Club's DQs Around the World in XD Films, brother. Not a mouthful, I insist. You might have some questions like, who are you? How'd you get into my house? What is this? Those are some great questions. You see, this here is a little journey we're going to take together. A journey around the world. Oh yeah.
What the fuck is this?
Each day is broken into movie and movement. Every day we're going to watch a movie picked at random with a random number generator from letterboxd listed movies for that country. We're going to rate it, watch it, not in that order, and then move on to the next step. Every day I have a movement allocation of 600 kilometers. We're going to map a route out to a town or a city. We're going to check it out and explore it, little brother. Oh, there's a few modifiers based on the film watched that'll affect the travel speed for a following day. And lastly, the town or city population size that'll land in will also have an effect on the movie pool that I can watch from. Any town or city with a population size of 10% or less than the capital city of that country, I have to watch something from 1980 or earlier. Oh. And if the population size is 5% or less than the capital city of that country, I have to watch something from 1960s or earlier. If I land in a capital city, I gain an extra 150 kilometers movement the next day, and I can watch any movie I want from that country. And with this, you'll be able to succeed at that big business pitch, or whatever the story is. This is all getting away from me a bit now. Let me check what I wrote down. You'll be able to succeed, you'll become a more worldly man, and you'll get to watch a lot more movies, brother. Oh yeah, that's your good stuff. Oh yeah, and with this, we'll be starting in the city that I live in Perth, West Australia. Let's fucking hit it, brother. Oh yeah. Okay, I'm done.
As I've driven Australia's cross-country and outback roads many times,
I know that it's going to be slow going getting across WA, let alone Australia at large, which means I'm going to be starting with quite a few Australian movies, which I'm looking forward to. Okay, so game plan. I'm going to take the Great Northern Highway, which is the most direct and, as you can see, one of the only major highways I can take from Perth. But this will get me to the northern coast of Australia, from where I can launch to Indonesia or Papua New Guinea, East Timor, and I'm going to put this down because it's quite heavy. So problem, any route I take across Australia, but including this one, there's not going to be a lot of towns and they're going to be quite far apart, which means using my budget of 600 kilometers a day, it's going to get a bit difficult trying to plan the perfect route.
As a child, a girl witnesses her father electrocute a young boy. When she grows into an adult, the ghost of the murdered boy appears to her. Together they set out to expose the crimes of their father.
Charmingly 80s, charmingly Australian. The horror elements really let this movie down for me. Feeling like a total background D character, not really given much to do. Doing it poorly in the time it's given. It lands more as a drama action movie where a vaguely ghostly boy just sorta shows up every 30 minutes, all of 30 seconds, to stand around like he's going to ask if you have games in your iPad. I can't help but feel like they'd stripped away with the minimal horror and bad effects and gone with something else in its place. This might have shone through a bit better. A lot of the characters are quite fun with some light-hearted dialogue. Though the bad guy, mysterious henchman are really bland and cheesy in a way I didn't enjoy. Still enjoyable for the most part, probably even more so if you get drunk with mates and just get into the cheesy, direct-to-TV vibe. Absolutely awful audio though, feels like you're just underwater for half of it, and in one scene, it just completely drops out for a couple of seconds. LOL. 2 stars.
So first movie of the trip, The 13th Floor. Wasn't really a home run, but 2 out of 5 is a decent way to start. I'm anticipating a real mixed bag of movies here. Something I liked was the Aussieisms and sort of light-hearted dialogue through a lot of it. I thought was quite fun. But something I didn't like was the lack of utilisation of horror in it. I know that's sort of a tonal choice, but I felt like it could have maybe done a bit more. And the lack of the ghost boy. He's sort of the main point of the movie. Where's the ghost boy? He turns up for like 2 minutes and then he's gone. Would I recommend it? Maybe. If you're into direct-to-TV sort of Goosebumps level horror, and I use the term horror very loosely, I probably, you might get something out of it, but only you and no one else, only you. Fortunately, this movie gave me no distance minuses, which means I have enough allocation to make it to...
Magnet.
I've been here quite a few times. It's a small little historical town in Western Australia. It's one of the original gold prospecting towns, so it dates back to the 1800s, which is pretty cool, but it's very small. And I once lost a beloved Oktoberfest cap, a Dadan Paul Servo, on the ground, on the grass, right there. And every time I drive past now, I longingly sort of look to see if it's still there. And it never is. So 561 kilometers done today. It's a pretty strong start. As I said, the towns are quite far apart, so I'm pretty happy with that for today. And I think I'm gonna have a little lie down and let's see what tomorrow holds, eh?
Gee, you really know how to show a girl a good time.
Well, you didn't look like the sort of girl who'd want to go to a disco.
What sort do I look like then?
Oh, life on the edge, no tomorrows, drinking from broken bottles, no respect for authority. Free and easy.
With the emphasis on easy.
Oh, just an impression.
Do you want to know what you look like?
Not particularly.
Singer-songwriter Kavisha Mitzalla's musical journey to find the lost songs of a dying generation. A moving, humorous, and sometimes quirky documentary about some of the larger-than-life characters who comprise the Italian women's chorus, the joys of the women.
So I don't really have a lot to say about this one. I mean, it explores its theme pretty well. I just don't think that the theme really justifies a full documentary. I just didn't really find it very interesting. So unfortunately, I think this one is going to go into the do not recommend pile, unless the synopsis really grabbed you. Maybe if you're an older demographic, you might enjoy it, but I just think there are more interesting documentaries out there. Sorry. So I knew the inland stretch of Australia, especially WA, was going to be a big slowdown for me, and today is definitely a highlight of that. I wanted to try and make it to Newman, but that's 20 kilometres over budget. And so dropping back to the next town means I'm only using up 427 kilometres today, which is nearly 180 kilometres under budget. But that lands me in Camarina, which is basically just a roadhouse. And I'm pretty sure I've had a pie from there. And that's my story about Camarina. I think like 40 people live here. What do you want me to say? So all things considered, making pretty good progress. Nearly at the coastal section of the Great Northern Highway, so along that northern coast of Australia. And from there I can start making plans as to where I'm going to go to next. So I'm going to crawl under this truck and have a little snooze, I think, and I'll catch up with you tomorrow.
During the mid-1860s, brothers Dick and Jim Marston are drawn into a life of crime by their ex-convict father Ben and his friend, infamous cutting thief, Captain Starlight.
No disrespect. But now the work's over, we're gonna have a bit of fun.
Fun old Aussie Western, though it's unfortunate that the only version I could find was a restoration, so the quality was a bit rough. 3.5.
3.5 stars.
It was great. The characters, the locations, everything really shone through, and the story is more than engaging. You know, if you're even just slightly a fan of westerns. So this now, at 3.5, goes down as the currently highest rated film of the journey. Something I didn't like was the rubbish quality that I had to watch it in, which I know isn't a fault of the movie, but I wish I could have seen it in a better quality, basically. So would I recommend Robbery Under Arms? This is a hard one to answer for this, mostly because I could only find a really bad quality version, which dissuades me from wanting to recommend it. But if I'm only talking about the movie and not the copies that are maybe available, then yes. If you're even remotely a fan of westerns, if you've never seen an Australian western, I think give this one a watch. It's engaging, it's entertaining, and it's a good sort of low-key adventure. So a little bit of a spanner in the works. I'm losing 100 kilometers of movement because this film was made by Brits, and that means I'm going to fall shy of Port Hedland, where I was planning on making it today, up on the coast. But at least I'm still going to make it further than I did yesterday, just purely based off of what towns are accessible, are reachable today. So here I am in Marble Bar. It's a bloody hot place. I've worked quite a few 50-degree days here, and yeah, there's not a lot to do. Fortunately, this 1957 Australian Western was quite good. I had a fun time, I enjoyed it, and it's got me in good spirits for another old Australian movie tomorrow. Unfortunately, the knock-on effect here is that I'm not going to make Broome tomorrow, as I had originally hoped to, which means I'm still probably a couple, if not a few days off from leaving the mainland of Australia in my pursuit northwards. But, you know, even just within these 3 films I've watched so far, I'm feeling more connected and enjoying Australian cinema, and maybe I shouldn't be so quick to want to leave yet.
Lorna Denver is the wealthy manager of Kangaroo Flat Sheep Station. Rivalry arises when 2 men seek her hand in marriage.
It calls for the visuals at the time, and the look at the Stockman life then, but the plot just sort of meanders along. 1.5 stars.
So today we are going way back. We're going to the 1920s for the 1921 movie, A Girl of the Bush. The Marble Bar's population and the small town role sent me back this time to 1921 for A Girl of the Bush. And look, didn't love it, didn't blow me away or anything, but it is always cool to go back and watch, you know, an early 1900s silent film. So something I liked, I've not seen a lot of silent films, let alone Australian early 1900s silent films, so it's very cool for that. But unfortunately, something I didn't like, it was a bit slow, a bit boring. I probably wouldn't recommend this one. So I made very good time today, used all but 1 kilometre of my movement allowance. Thank God for the Roadhouse, which I've stayed here before. I've also had a pie from here before. I've probably had a pie from most Australian servos at this point. Getting close to the coast, which means be departing probably soon, which means it's a great time to have a little chat about the plan going forwards. I've had a little bit of a think about it, and I think I know where I want to go next. But first, let's go find somewhere to sit down. I'm not just going to go get a pie, I promise, and we'll have a little chat. Alright, so I've been thinking about my plan for the next steps going forwards. Obviously I'm thinking of leaving Australia here. I could go eastwards, jump across to New Zealand, and then work my way up through the island nations there. But I'm pretty keen to get to my second country in at least week 2. And I'm already halfway through week 1. I don't know if I'll have many setbacks on the sea, so I'm going to launch from Broome and I'm going to work my way north. So I'll get to Indonesia, East Timor sort of area, which means there's a couple of countries in close proximity, and then I'm thinking at this stage anyway, I'm going to start then working my way eastwards and across and down. Get to New Zealand, come back across to Australia and work my way back up, and then sort of slingshot back through. That's the plan. Might change along the way based on any number of factors, but it means Indonesia or East Timor is very near in the future, which I'm so excited about. I'm excited about all of these island nations. I'm woefully unversed in some of their history, but definitely in their cinema, so I think it's going to be really good. So I'm going to have a little snooze in my chair here under the beautiful stars, and tomorrow I think we might make some progress out to the ocean, so I look forward to it, and I'll see you then.
A Ukrainian couple become refugees during and after World War II. They end up as displaced persons in a camp in Germany before they're eventually accepted for resettlement into Australia.
Yeah. Fear and confusion. Confusion and fear. And Mike was a prisoner.
A docudrama about the effects of World War II and the displaced people that followed. It's a well-made, self-contained story and is eye-opening into some of the details that might seem mundane when you think World War II documentary. But that's what makes it interesting to me, and the fact that it's about migrating to Australia during that time. It's an insightful look at a period of Australia's more recent history. 3 out of 5 stars. It's really starting to believe. Very good.
So it's bizarrely coincidental that the random movie pick today was about migrating to Australia, as this is the day that I am departing the mainland. It's quite a fascinating case study, more so than anything, because it is essentially propaganda, which I think is always quite interesting to watch long after the fact with a much wider context and understanding. But it's also just quite well made. I would recommend it to you if you like documentaries, especially in the World War II period, that maybe are less so about actual warfare and more about the effects of what was happening around then. This film is a big hit to the distance of the day, which I was expecting to happen eventually, but I did find the movie quite interesting, so I won't hold it against it too hard. Less than half of the film takes place in Australia. I'm just barely holding it above the 0% category, just because the end of the film is about passage to Australia and at sea, and I'm sort of counting that. It could go either way, really. So surprisingly, barring any major setbacks on tomorrow's film, I should actually be clear to make it and land in my second country for the week and for the whole trip tomorrow. But we'll wait and see if that happens. For now, I'll be waving a sort of fond farewell to the Australian coastline. Potentially only one more Australian film left to watch. But I may be back in the future, so we'll just have to wait and see. But it's been good. I've really enjoyed it. It's been such a cool range of films to watch, and let's see what tomorrow holds.
Joan is a struggling horse breeder and trainer. She buys an unwanted thoroughbred colt called Stormalong, and helped by Ma's son Tommy Dawson, she restores the horse to health and fitness to compete in the Melbourne Cup.
You did break training.
Only because you asked me to. I'd do anything for you.
The Thoroughbred was one of those films that, after watching it, just didn't really have a lot to say about it. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars, so, it wasn't bad. It was fine, and it wasn't particularly compelling. I thought the story was pretty basic, and about as basic as could be. Some of the character choices were a bit weird, but I think it kind of is what it is. And it's only an hour long, so even if you aren't loving it, it cracks along at a decent pace. To be honest, if you're looking for an older film about horses, I feel like there are probably better ones out there. But at the end of the day, if you've only got an hour to spare, and it sounds interesting to you, why not give it a go? So I've landed in Nembrala, Indonesia. It seems to be a bit of a sort of resort town, a seaside town. The population is quite small, especially in comparison to the capital city, which will mean something 1980s or earlier to start with. But I'm stoked. I'm so excited to see what this holds for me. The palm trees, the rolling hills, it's absolutely beautiful. It's been so nice to watch so many Australian movies at the beginning of this trip. I'm definitely excited now to sort of break it up a bit and just start to explore what else is out there. You know, the trip sort of really now is kicking off. I'm stoked that I managed to nip it in just before the end of the first week and get to this second country. But as it stands, one day to go.
A hero of revolution returns to civilian life to find the new society very different from the ideals that he fought for.
So after the curfew, I'm really stoked to, so early into the trip, get a film that was available on the Criterion channel. And it really was such a strong start to watching Indonesian films and exploring themes of Indonesia's history. Just felt like a really cool way to begin that sort of journey and this chapter in the trip. So 3 out of 5 stars is a good start, great start actually. And I just thought the characters were interesting, the plot was good, and there was a fantastic singing scene, which I always appreciate a good singing scene. It does lose a bit of steam towards the end. But would I recommend it? Absolutely, yes. So I managed to earn a bit of a bonus movement on this one, an extra 100 kilometers for the whole thing being in local Indonesian language, which was really cool and very exciting. But I don't think I'm going to use the extra movement. Instead, I'm going to pull in at the capital city of East Timor, which will mean I get to watch any movie I want from there, which is very cool. But it'll also grant me an extra 150 kilometers the following day, which I think is going to be quite crucial to try and balance and use when I'm trying to get across to these different island nations with the distances between them. So another country enters. I didn't even think I'd make it to 2 this week, so getting to a 3rd is genuinely pretty exciting this early. Obviously I'll definitely be back into Indonesia soon to watch more of those films, but I mean, as we're here and as it's so close, I didn't want to lose that opportunity. So I'm really excited to see what East Timor cinema has to offer, but that'll have to wait until next week. Okay, so leaderboard. With this, I'm going to sort of keep track of where I've liked watching things from, and just kind of, I think it's just visually interesting to look at. I'll be taking the average score, so the average rating of films that I've given for a specific country, and put that into a formula that my brother has helped me come up with, which includes coefficients and other such terms that I don't understand and may as well be magic. With that, it'll hopefully produce a result that is more of a score for that country, that takes into account the fact that different countries will have different amounts of films having been watched, and hopefully make it a bit more fair. But at the end of the day, let's not take this too much to heart. It's not that serious. Except I want you to take it very seriously. So we begin with Australia. I've watched 6 films from there this week, and they averaged a rating of 2.25 out of 5. Now, put through the formula, we come out with a final score. Final for now, obviously if I watch more Australian movies, it can change, but that currently final score, putting it in first place out of one country's watch from, is 2.115. So, Australia sits right at the top for now. So of course I watched one of the country's films this week, which was Indonesia. So they need to be entered onto the board in this wonderful leaderboard setup. And they only watched one film from there, so it's going to be a little bit skewed. And it was a good, strong start with a rating of 3. So that comes out with a final score and unfortunately pushing Australia down the leaderboard. So Indonesia at the top with a score of 3.03. So those are the final rankings for week 1. We have So end of the first week, we have Australia in second place with 2.115 and Indonesia with a 3.03 at the top. Obviously this is likely and expected to change, but we'll just have to wait and see. However, you may have noticed there's one more column, if you can call it a column, an accolade that needs to be assigned and handed out. At the top we have the movie of the week, which will be the top rated / if there's a tie, my favourite movie of the week, and below that is the movie of the trip, which will be the top rated, or again, if there are ties, my favourite movie of the trip, and therefore my favourite movie in the world. So this week there's a pretty clear winner. There's only one film that got over 3 stars rating, and that was the 3.5 stars that I gave to Robbery Under Arms. So that becomes the movie of the week. And also simultaneously, so I'll give it this accolade now, my movie of the world. So barring any better films, Robbery Under Arms is actually my favourite movie on this planet, which is pretty crazy. So for now that's it, and that's goodbye for me for the week. I look forward to next week to find out what the adventure awaits, and I hope that you'll be there to join me.
My goodness, what a week it's been, Wonder where he'll go next, what he'll see, what he'll witness. Very interesting. I'll be here, same times, same as always.